I've been covering hockey for over 2 decades, but what I'm witnessing in this Toronto-Ottawa series has me absolutely speechless. Just when everyone thought the Maple Leafs had finally overcome their playoff demons, there are suddenly whispers throughout the NHL that we might be on the verge of witnessing the most catastrophic collapse in Toronto's tortured history. The Leafs currently hold what should be an insurmountable 3-0 series lead against their provincial rivals. But there's a palpable tension gripping Leafs Nation that I haven't felt in years. Hockey insiders are beginning to question if Toronto's playoff curse is about to manifest in an entirely new and devastating form. We've seen this movie before with the Maple Leafs, spectacular regular seasons followed by soul-crushing playoff disappointments, but blowing a 3-0 series lead would enter an entirely different stratosphere of heartbreak. What makes this situation particularly fascinating is how deceptively close these games have actually been despite the series score. Before you continue reading this analysis that every hockey fan needs to see, take a quick second to hit that like button so more people can join this incredible conversation about what could become NHL playoff history in the making. The surface-level statistics tell a story of Maple Leafs dominance. They're up 3-0. Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner are playing at an elite level, and their defense has been surprisingly solid. For the first time since 2001, Toronto finds itself one win away from advancing past the first round without the anxiety of a winner-take-all Game 7 scenario that has haunted this franchise repeatedly. The top line featuring Matthews, Marner, and rookie sensation Matthew Knies has been borderline unstoppable, creating scoring chances at will and converting them at a rate that would make any coach envious. What's been particularly impressive is the offensive contribution from Toronto's blue line. 4 goals already from defensemen, something that was conspicuously absent throughout much of their regular season campaign. The defensive core has displayed remarkable balance, with ice time distributed evenly among all pairings, rather than the typical playoff strategy of overworking a single shutdown pair. No defenseman is averaging less than 18:30 or more than 21:51 minutes per game, a testament to head coach Sheldon Keefe's newfound trust in his entire defensive unit. Perhaps most surprisingly, journeyman goaltender Anthony Stolarz has silenced the skeptics who questioned Toronto's goaltending situation entering the playoffs. Stolarz has been remarkably consistent, allowing exactly 2 goals in each contest, while making several momentum-shifting saves that have preserved Toronto's advantage at critical moments. But look beneath this veneer of dominance, and you'll find troubling patterns that should have Toronto fans reaching for their anxiety medication. The Maple Leafs have surrendered 2-1 leads late in the third period in consecutive games, only to rescue themselves with overtime heroics. This dangerous trend points to a team that struggles to close games out, a fatal flaw that could eventually catch up to them. Ottawa's young, fearless roster has shown increasing confidence with each passing period, and they're playing with the unburdened freedom that comes from having absolutely nothing to lose. The analytics tell a story that the scoreboard doesn't fully capture. The expected goals metrics show this series to be much closer than the 3-0 score would indicate. Toronto has benefited from several fortunate bounces and timely goals that have masked periods of Ottawa's territorial dominance. Linus Ullmark, the Senators' Vezina Trophy-winning goaltender, has been steadily improving with each game, gradually rediscovering the form that made him one of the league's elite netminders. If Ullmark returns to top form, entirely possible, given his pedigree, Toronto could suddenly find scoring much more difficult in Games 4 and beyond. The psychological component cannot be overlooked either. No franchise carries the weight of historical playoff disappointment quite like Toronto. The moment Ottawa wins a single game, those mental demons will begin their familiar whispers in the ears of Leafs players who have experienced crushing defeat year after year. The coming days represent a pivotal moment in Toronto Maple Leafs history. A sweep would silence critics and potentially launch this core group toward the deep playoff run that has eluded them for so long. But should Ottawa capture Game 4 on home ice, a distinct possibility given their improving play, the narrative could shift dramatically. Game 5 back in Toronto would suddenly become laden with unbearable pressure, with 19,000-plus fans at Scotiabank Arena gripping their seats in terror rather than anticipation. We've seen this story unfold before with these Maple Leafs, most notably in 2021 when they surrendered a 3-1 series lead to their arch-rivals, the Montreal Canadiens. But blowing a 3-0 advantage would represent an entirely new level of catastrophe, the kind that fundamentally alters franchises and potentially ends careers. The psychological scars would be unprecedented, potentially forcing Toronto's management to finally break up their talented but repeatedly disappointing core. Only 4 teams in NHL history have ever overcome a 3-0 playoff deficit, with the 2010 Philadelphia Flyers being the most recent example, ironically against Boston, the team Toronto would likely face in Round 2. Ottawa joining this exclusive club at Toronto's expense would instantly become the defining chapter in the Maple Leafs' already voluminous book of playoff heartbreaks. As Game 4 approaches, the entire hockey world watches with fascination. Are we witnessing Toronto's long-awaited playoff breakthrough, or are we about to see the most spectacular collapse in modern NHL history? What do you think will happen? Will Toronto close this out, or are we watching the beginning of another legendary Maple Leafs playoff meltdown? Drop your predictions in the comments below and hit that like button if you're as captivated by this unfolding drama as I am. As someone who's covered this team through decades of disappointment, I can tell you this feels different. But then again, it always does, until it doesn't.